Welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, to yet again another fantastic and definitely not concerning Marvel's Avengers related video. Even though I do say that sarcastically, it turns out there actually is some news that is a bit more positive rather than the more negative news that we have had recently. And in case you haven't been keeping up with said news, if you have seen my video from last week and just have been keeping up with the overall outcome of what's occurring for the game, you will be well aware that the creative director of Marvel's Avengers, Sean Ascai, who previously worked at Naughty Dog, has since returned to Naughty Dog because he left his position as creative director from Marvel's Avengers. And in that video, which I will leave as a link in the description below, I did fully break down the entirety of the news, but also give my own viewpoint as to why I think that is a very bad sign for the game as a whole, and where the status of it can go in terms of adding in more content and just what Crystal Dynamics is doing to just make a general better experience than what we currently have now. Because if you did see yesterday, at the time of this recording, I did live stream Marvel's Avengers for a National Superhero Day, and it was not fun. It was still a very buggy experience. It wasn't all that enjoyable in terms of additional content and variety. And of course, we're all still currently waiting for Black Panther and Spider-Man to be the big, massive factors of characters to bring back engagement for fans into the game, hopefully to see exactly where the War for Wakanda expansion and the Spider-Man DLC, and even the Monica Rappaccini villain sector, what they can do in terms of just getting more people invested in the game. So that way, we don't see a similar situation as to what occurred with Anthem Next. And luckily, maybe, there could be a brighter future for the game, depending on this news that we do have today, for a brand new system designer being inputted into Crystal Dynamics' development team of Brian Wagner. Now, the reason why this is so important is because he was actually a previous developer on a much more well-appreciated and vastly beloved Marvel game of Marvel Heroes. Now, my own personal background with this game is that I didn't play it as much as some of you guys may have, but it still is a very enjoyable Marvel RPG experience, similar to the vein of either Marvel Ultimate Alliance or even DC Universe Online. If you have played either of those games, Marvel Heroes is pretty much a more packed iteration of those experiences with a lot more content and just enjoyable gameplay mechanics compared to what we have now with Marvel's Avengers. And seeing that he was fully brought on to Crystal Dynamics' development team as a systems designer does give some fans who did play that previous game of Marvel Heroes a bit more reassurance and just overall levity to see exactly what he can do in terms of revitalizing the overall game that is Marvel's Avengers. And to put things into a better perspective, I am going to read highlighted sections from fellow games journalist Paul Tassi, who did report that Marvel's Avengers fans are currently excited as Marvel Heroes developer joins Crystal Dynamics. And in case you missed it, Brian himself did go on Twitter to announce the news and just basically describe how he is currently feeling about joining the team over at Crystal Dynamics working on Marvel's Avengers. And as he goes on to describe, well, the time has finally come. I can finally announce that at the end of next month, I'll be leaving EA Sports and joining Crystal Dynamics as a system designer on Marvel's Avengers. I'm really excited to join that team and help them build new systems and features for the game. After what happened at Gazillion, who, if you don't know, are the developers of Marvel Heroes, I wasn't ever sure if I wanted to work on another Marvel game again. Talking to the team at Crystal, seeing their passion for making a game the fans love, and knowing the potential of the product were all big factors for me in making my choice. One of the things that convinced me to take the job was the leadership of Crystal Dynamics telling me to give them honest feedback about the game and its issues, and telling me there were no egos in the room. I did, and they were very receptive to my suggestions. So right off the bat, I do think that is a very good sign where Crystal and Marvel are fully open to criticism that is constructive to again help make the product a better experience overall, and that way the developers themselves are aware as to what they need to actually change to make it more enjoyable for fans, us, everywhere. And also, mainly, for the business side of things with Square Enix, how to convince consumers to get back into playing the game and or buy it if they haven't already purchased it. I did find that there was a lack of just variety in terms of customization, broken, the gear system isn't all that enjoyable or just in-depth in terms of how to build out your characters, and of course with the cosmetics glitching out continuously depending on certain suits that you choose, it's very, very problematic for a game and its system that shouldn't really even have these problems in the first place, especially considering its live service nature. The more that the game is continuing to falter without any improvements in any specific areas, the little to no investment that will continue to grow from fans is only going to increase even further down the line, meaning that if they don't fix the problems now, they're not going to have a game in general to actually fix by the time that more players even want to give the game a chance. And to point out exactly what Brian is referring to in terms of his previous developer of employment with Gazillion, who again are the developers of Marvel Heroes, the status of that game is actually, again, sadly, the death of the overall product, with firing all employees without pay after the Thanksgiving fiasco of 2017, which again is a very sad outcome to have happened for such a beloved game. So seeing that he was actually skeptical at first to not work on any previous Marvel project, but actually coming back to help make Marvel's Avengers a better game in its entirety, is very interesting to say the least. And strangely enough, Brian went on to further clarify on Twitter, stating that he doesn't appreciate the narrative of him quote-unquote coming to save Marvel's Avengers, as he iterates that Crystal Dynamics has already a fully passionate and hardworking team despite all the issues that the game has. But again, if the game doesn't do anything to actually improve upon the issues that it does currently face, and instead provide little to no content and updates from its current roadmap, and not follow through on the certain dates that they have planned, we again might see a similar situation to what happened with Anthem. And for the main case of Marvel's Avengers gameplay structure, Brian's main job is actually going to be fixing a lot of things that do need some polish. And as Paul goes on to highlight, farming for gear with zero cosmetic components does not feel great in this genre. The day-to-day and week-to-week rewarding grind present in other live service looters is almost non-existent between character releases. Endgame content is currently borderline non-existent in Avengers, with Omega threats eternally delayed, and things like the Mega Hive being too long and boring to be fun to farm consistently. Following that up, activity diversity is limited by a small range of enemy and boss types. And lastly, the entire gear score power grind to the 150 cap is generally not enjoyable. And for me personally, I do believe that he is absolutely right. We definitely need a lot more just flair, fluidity, and overall fun to be inputted within this game, because I can guarantee you right now, fully going into the Barren Wasteland for the 100th time, fighting the 1 millionth aimbot and dreadbot, and just aim soldiers aimlessly just doing monotonous tasks over and over again within this live service gameplay loop that's sole purpose is to keep players doing the same thing over and over again until new content is dropped, continuing that same pattern. If that pattern is not fun enough, then we do have a serious problem. And I hate to compare it again, but a current live service game that I am playing of Genshin Impact is doing that whole live service looter brawler grind system a million times better than what we currently see right now with a massive property like that of Marvel's Avengers. So right now, we don't have a whole lot to go off of as to what he actually plans on doing himself to fix the game, just basically what we have seen system designers do in the past. But seeing that this is an employee from a previous Marvel game that has done a lot of things right in the past and given us a full-on experience that does encapsulate a gameplay formula that works and is solid enough to keep players invested in the game, is actually giving players who are still actually invested in Marvel's Avengers the optimistic hope that maybe he can turn the game around. And for me personally, I do want this game to succeed, but I'm not going to hold my breath anytime soon. But with all that said, everyone, that is the update that I do have for you for Marvel's Avengers, with Brian Wagner coming on to the team of Crystal Dynamics as a systems designer to hopefully fix what the game currently has right now. Will it be fixed? I don't know. When can we actually see fixes for the game? I would say near Black Panther's release, again in summer and beyond. I'm assuming either August or September, and also maybe when Spider-Man is included too. If that can actually mean that the game will be completely doing a full turnaround 180 style like Battlefront 2, I don't necessarily think so, but I will at least give them the benefit of the doubt and say this is a step in the right direction. But until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay merry, Marvelites, and until next time, peace out. And as well, of course, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel because I would really appreciate it. Anyways, thanks, guys. See you later. Peace out.